Hello and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. What happens when you take a month off? You accumulate loads of books, and I mean loads. I've got 25 books here to show you, and if that ain't enough, if that's not exciting enough for you and you haven't already watched my March TBR, there's a lot of new books in there as well that I haven't even hauled because they appeared in my TBR before they appeared in the haul, and I just thought, this haul doesn't need to be any longer. So if it's new books you're after and you've watched this, then go and watch my March haul as well, because that's got a lot of new books that I've got for the Irish Readathon, so I'll link that down below. Books that I've bought, books that I've been sent from the publisher. We'll start with the books that I've bought, but if you are interested in seeing which books that I have bought and which have been sent to me by the publisher, I list all the books mentioned in the video down below, and I always mark the ones that have been sent to me by a publisher with an asterisk. So if you're ever wondering what the situation is with the books that I've sent in all of my videos, they're marked with an asterisk. That means that they've been sent to me by the publisher. Right, let's start with two books that I bought. I'm so excited about these because I bought these directly from the publisher only like 2 days ago, expecting them not to be here in time for this video, and they have arrived, so I'm very excited. I'll start with the one that sent me to that publisher. So this is What She's Having. This is a collection of stories to do with women and food, and I saw this being highly hyped over on Instagram, and loved this front cover and just the typography and everything. Then found out it was about women and food, and I'm currently reading, I've forgotten what it's bloody called, In the Kitchen, which is a book about food, and I just love food writing. So I love food writing, I love writing about women, and so this is just perfect for me. So I went straight over to Dear Damsels, which is the publisher that published this, and ordered this. Now I am so excited to start this. Really can't wait. And then while I was over there, I noticed that they also had another book there called Let Me Know When You're Home, and this is a collection of stories about female friendship, which I thought was just so lovely. And the tagline on it was, what is it that makes female friendship so special, supportive, intense, messy and essential? So yeah, I bought those two from Dear Damsels, and I will link that publisher down below. But yeah, thought they were great. Cannot wait to read those. Very excited. Next up is a book that I saw when I was watching Between the Page. I always forget what it's called. It's a BBC Two programme hosted by Sarah Cox. It's either called Between the Covers or Between the Pages. Is it on here? No, I thought it might have been on the front that it had been mentioned on here. But yeah, the author Babita Sharma was actually on that programme, and she was talking about her book called The Corner Shop, and this is about her family's life owning and running their own corner shop. And I love stuff like this. Like, I've been very reliant on corner shops before. When I was a student, one of the only places that we could buy food in the village that we lived was a corner shop. The corner shop was a big sort of like day out when I was a child, and we used to just play in the road. Sometimes your mum would give you 50p and be like, yeah, you can walk to the corner shop, and we actually live near the building that used to be that corner shop, and it doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, I'm really excited to read about the history of this corner shops, and also what it was like for Babita Sharma for her family to own and run a corner shop. So yeah, I'm very excited to read this, and non-fiction, think it's going to be great. So that's that. Now the next 4 books are for a reading project I've got coming up. So you'll know that for the past 2 years in June I've read books, I read a classic book and then retellings of that book. So the first time I did June Eyre, where I read Jane Eyre and books that were adaptations or based on or featured characters from Jane Eyre. Then last year I did Pride and Prejudice. This year I couldn't think of anything that went with June. So what I'm doing, I'm not sold on this title, and nor is David, but I'm doing Little Women. So I'll be reading Little Women in May, and then reading books that are retellings of, based on, etc, etc. Now, some of you might be thinking, why didn't you do this in March, Lauren? Because the girl's last name is March, but March is a reading month where I always have quite a lot of reading plans anyway. So I always have the Irish Readathon, and then the Women's Prize long list comes out. So I couldn't factor it into my March reading. So I've gone for Little Women. It's very loose, isn't it? I mean, just support me, just tell me it's really good. So yeah, I've got 4 books here that are all sort of retellings of Little Women, and I've got a few on my e-reader that I'll be getting out from the library, and a few more that I want to buy before then. But yeah, so here we are. So the first one is Little Witches, Magic in Concord by Lee Dragoon. Now this is a graphic novel version of Little Women retold if they are 4 witches. So that sounds exciting. I don't know if there's much more to say on that one. The next one I've got is Meg, Jo, Beth and Amy. This is a graphic novel, but this is by Ray Tercero and Brie Indigo. Again, another graphic novel. This one I drew my attention because this is, look, they're not all of the same colour, which is lovely. So yeah, looking forward to that. And it says here a modern retelling of Little Women, so that's that. Then I've got More to the Story by Henna Khan, and this is also based on a Little Women. You follow the character of Jo is reimagined as Jamila Mirza, and she wants to be an award-winning journalist like her grandfather. So you're following that, and yeah, that sounds exciting. So I'm looking forward to that. And then the last one, which took me a bit of getting hold of actually, and I ended up getting it from Blackwell's, and that's This Wide Night by Sarvat Hassin, and this is again a retelling of Little Women, retold as the 4 Malik girls who are living in 1970s Karachi, and the girls are reimagined as Maria, Aisha, Layla and Bina. Yeah, so those are the 4 books, but as I said, I've got a few more I want to get my hands on. I've got some reservations at the library that I want to get things, so that will be happening, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I haven't read Little Women for many years, and I'm not even sure when I did read it if I read it the whole way through, so I'm quite looking forward to reading it and then getting to grips with some more of these adaptations and retellings. So yeah, very exciting. Right, on to the books from the publishers. Which pile to start with? I mean, I don't know. We'll start with this one. This is Daughters of the Night. Look at the big chunky guy this one is. Laura Stephen Robinson. I've previously read Blood and Sugar by Laura Stephen Robinson, which was about the slave trade. This is set in London in 1782, sorry. And we're revisiting one of the characters. Also, let me just show you these end pages because they're absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. I feel really excited about holding a really big book. I very rarely read massive books, and this is the sort of thing that I like to sort of like spend a bit of time with in terms of maybe taking it on holiday with me. Who knows if I'll be going on holiday this year. We're hoping to, we were supposed to go to my parents' place in France last year in November. Obviously that didn't happen. We're hoping that might happen this year, and if that does, then I'll take this with me. But anyway, rather than tell you when I'm going to read this, I'll tell you what it's about. You're following Caro Corsham, who comes across a mortally wounded woman in a local park to where she lives, in the Vauxhall Pleasure Gardens, in fact. And she's been wounded, and Caro's very concerned about why this has happened. And then when people find out that the woman who's been wounded is a prostitute, people aren't interested. But Caro wants to look more into that and find out that justice is done, and she enlists the help of a thief taker, which I'm not quite sure what that is, called Peregrine Child. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, lovely to be sent a bookmark. We keep sliding out. So yeah, big massive thing, really looking forward to that. Then I've got Forever Ends on Friday. This is by Justin A. Reynolds, and this is about Q and his best friend Jamal. Now Jamal dies, it's about Jamal and his friend Q dies. Then when Q dies, Jamal is given a sort of choice and said, oh, you can have the week of Jamal's life again, but you're not allowed to let Q know that he's gonna die. So yeah, it's a story of sort of friendship and loss and grief, and yeah, it sounds fantastic, so looking forward to that. I feel like it's going to be a bit cryy, that one. Then I've got Amnesty by Aravind Adiga. This sounds bloody great. So you're following Danny, who is an undocumented Sri Lankan refugee living in Sydney, and one morning he learns that one of his clients, he's working as a cleaner, I think, yeah. He's working as a cleaner. One of his clients has been murdered. Now, a jacket was left at the scene of the murder, and Danny knows who that jacket belongs to. So does he go to the police and say, look, I know who's murdered his client, and then risk being deported, or does he step back and not say anything and carry on his life as it has been? So yeah, sounds really interesting, so looking forward to that very much. I feel like I'm saying that too. I mean, all of these books, obviously, I'm looking forward to. Next up is People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd. Now, Ellery Lloyd is a husband and wife writing team, of which I've never experienced, apart from Nikki French, which is that's a an author that writes crime novels, and it's a husband and wife writing team. So this is exciting to me that that's written by two people. I feel like I really love the Nikki French books, and I think that's because there's so many, like, you can tell there's so many ideas bounce back and forth between this husband and wife writing team. Anyway, this is also written by a husband and wife writing team, and you're following a woman called Emmy Jackson. Now, she is a Insta mum. She's got a handle called Mama Bear, and she, like, everything seemingly is perfect, as it always does seem on Instagram. Yeah, then they want to know what, like, then she loses everything, and I think is there a murder or something? But Emmy isn't as honest as she'd like her fans to believe. She may think she has her followers fooled, but someone out there knows the truth and plans to make her pay. So yeah, very modern sort of twist on maybe the long con. Let's see how this goes. But yeah, interested because it's a husband-wife writing team, so excited to read that. Next up, I've got, this is the proof copy of Kololo Hill. This is by Nima Shah. So this is the proof copy. This is actually out already. It came out in February. I think this is going to be on the long list for the Women's Prize this year, and I'm hoping so because I've heard really, really good things. It's set in Uganda in 1972. And it's set at the time when all of the Ugandan Asians are given 90 days to leave the country, and they don't get, obviously, 90 days to leave the country. You don't get time to settle things, sell your house, get some money, etc, etc. It's about leaving the place where you've always lived and loved, and new beginnings, in this instance in Britain. And yeah, it sounds like it's going to be fantastic, and like I said, I think it's going to be on the women's long list. So yeah, I'll keep an eye out for that. I hope so. I'm looking forward to that. I keep saying looking forward to it, don't I? Next up, we got the new Kazuo Ishiguro book. This is called Clara and the Sun. Ooh, this is a lovely proof. Look at this, like, lovely little sun. So I can put that around so the sun can come either way on here. Oh, now I've done that. Isn't it lovely? So yeah, this is Kazuo Ishiguro's new book. It is out the 2nd of March, so it will already be out once this video goes out. It sounds to me as though it's got it's about AI. So Clara, the Clara that is mentioned, Clara and the Sun, is it says here that she is an artificial friend with outstanding observational qualities, who from her place in the store watches carefully the behaviour of those who come in to browse and of those who pass in the street outside. She remains hopeful a customer will soon choose her, but when the possibility emerges that her circumstances may change forever, Clara is warned not to invest too much in the promises of humans. Now, I watched a TV series a few years ago. I can't think what it was called, but it had Gemma Chan in it, and it was about, like, AI sort of coming and helping out in families and like being medical helpers to people and stuff like that. What was that called? But yeah, when I read that blurb, I was very much reminded of that. So yes, that sounds very interesting. Next up is another one I think is going to be on the Women's Prize long list, and it's Lustre by Raven Leilani. Both this and Kololo Hill are both debuts, so it'll be very interesting if they do get on there. This I've heard wonderful things about. It's about Edie and her sort of life working in an office job, dreary, monotonous, sleeping with the wrong people, etc, etc. Then she starts dating a seemingly very liberal white man called Eric, who is an archivist. He's got a wife who has sort of semi-agreed to an open relationship, and an adopted black daughter. And yeah, it looks at that and sort of Edie getting involved in his family as well as being the person that like Eric is having an affair with. So it sounds really interesting, and I'm really excited about it. And yeah, like I said, I think it's going to be on the women's long list. Next up are two like sort of similar books, and they actually were both sent to me by the same publisher. So the first one is Love is the Next Country by Randa Jara. This is already out. It was out in February this year, and this is about a road trip across the United States from a Palestinian girl's point of view. So this is so this Palestinian daughter, Randa, has always been shamed about her weight, her background, and her decision to become a teenage mother as she rebels against her abusive family and the expectations others have of her. So that sounds very interesting. And then I've also got Gears for Queers by Abigail Melton and Lilith Cooper. This is out in June this year, and this sounds like great to me because I love things like this. This documents Abby and Lily as they get on their bikes and ride all over to see some parts of Europe. Now it's told from Abby and Lily's points of view and like where they are, and told by the day, and yeah, it's about them sort of pushing their relationship and their bodies to the limit as they are riding all over Europe. Now I read a book called, oh god, I'm rubbish at recalling names, aren't I? Another Croissant for the Road, which was a woman riding all over France and eating different croissants and different foods all over France, and I really enjoyed that. And when I saw the look of this, I thought it sounded a bit similar. However, the focus in this is about mental health, whereas the focus in that was about food. So yeah, looking forward to it, as I keep saying about all of them. Then I've got 7 by Fazana Dr. Now what drew me to this, which I was excited about, is that Vivek Shreya, who wrote the subtweet, which I read earlier this year and absolutely loved, has blurbed this and said this is an urgent and passionate read. So this is set in 2016, and it's about Sharifa, who's going with her husband to a trip to India, in sort of like with plans to save their marriage. When she is going there, she decides that she's going to research her grandfather's life, her great-great-grandfather's life, and when she starts looking into her great-great-grandfather's life, she finds herself much more interested in his 4 wives and the mystery that surrounds them. So yeah, that's it sort of links with religion and community and politics and things like that. So there's that one. We're almost there, guys. 16 minutes in, we're almost there. This is Love is for Losers by Vibka Brueggemann. David, when he saw me get this from the publisher, was like, I think I would like to read that. This says here, it's a hilarious life-affirming novel about the big stuff. Love, sex, death, family, heartbreak, kittens, and kisses that turns the whole world upside down. Again, this is one that's told in sort of diary form, which I feel quite excited about. I do like a book written in diary form. The next 2 are non-fiction books, one of which that I have listened to the audiobook of, and when the publisher got in touch and said, would you like a copy of it, I said, well yeah, do you know what, I absolutely would, because as much as, and I've listened to the audiobook of this twice, it's Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall. I really think it's great and would urge you to read it, but I do find, this just isn't the case for Hood Feminism but for all audiobooks, like they're not very easy for browsing. So if I was to think, oh yeah, I remember that bit in, particularly for non-fiction books, I remember that bit and I'd like to revisit that, so to have a copy of this is very, very great, very, very great. And it's just come out in paperback as well, which is why they sent me a copy. So this is, as I said, Hood Feminism, Notes from the Women White Feminists Forgot, and it's all about intersectional feminism. And this was the first sort of like, I read this a couple of years ago for the first time, listened to it, and it was the first sort of introduction to intersectional feminism for me, and things that I hadn't previously thought were a feminist issue had been brought to my attention that they definitely were. For example, things like hunger, things like gun crime, things like poverty, and Mickey Kendall really opened my eyes to that. So as I said, I've read the audio, I've listened to the audio book of this, so I already love this, but would definitely recommend getting your hands on it, particularly as it's out in paperback now. And then that very same publisher, Bloomsbury, sent me In Control, Dangerous Relationships and How They End in Murder by Jane Monckton Smith. So Jane Monckton Smith is a world-renowned criminology expert, and she has done some groundbreaking research into domestic violence and coercive control, which is what this book is all about. So she created an 8-stage homicide timeline which lays out identifiable stages where a relationship might go from coercive control to murder, and has sort of revolutionised our understanding of them, which I think sounds like, frankly, fucking terrifying, but also interesting. And a few stats on the back here says a woman is killed by a partner or ex-partner every 4 days in the UK. Killers do not snap and lose control. There are signs if you know how to see them. So feel like that sounds super interesting, and we'll be getting to that at some point. Then I've got She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. This is a queer reimagining of the Ming dynasty, and we're following Zhu in 1345 in a famine-stricken village in a divided hunger, as she takes on her brother's identity and sort of begins this epic journey. So yeah, that is that. Then I've got, and I'm going to open this now, but I've had this all packaged up, and I just thought it's so lovely. Now I've already received the proof copy of this. This is the finished copy, sent to me with a delicious luxury hot chocolate powder, which I will try and have, but who knows, David might get there first. I've got some delicious vegan marshmallows to put in there. But this is The Last Bear. Let me show you, because I get a little glimpse. It's The Last Bear by Hannah Gold. And Gold by surname, let me show you, Gold by, she will get there. Love a ribbon, can put that in my hair now, can't I? Gold by Underneath the Dust Jacket Bear. So yeah, this is so cute. This is a story of friendship, and it says here it's a middle grade. There are no polar bears left on Bear Island. At least that's what April's father tells her when his research takes them to Arctic outposts for 6 months. But one night, April catches a glimpse of something distinctly bear-shaped loping across the horizon. A polar bear who shouldn't be here, who's hungry, lonely, and a long way from home. A bear who's missing something, just like April. So yeah, it's about friendship. It's about, oh God, I can't get over that gorgeous gold. Climate change, and yeah, it just sounds really, really lovely, and like it just looks beautiful as well. The artwork looks so lovely. Let me have a look and see if there's any artwork inside. Oh, there's like little oh, there is. So yeah, that's nice, and double nice because I've got hot chocolate. Then I've got the paperback version of Writers and Lovers by Lily King, which is out. This has been out in hardback before, as most books do in the UK, go from hardback to paperback, Lauren. And this is a story of a love triangle between Casey, Lily wrote it, Silas and Oscar. So yeah, one of the, and I feel like they're quite different. So the two men are quite different in terms of their, like, one's got kids, one's older, I think. Yeah, so, and she's writing a book at the time. Will that book be influenced by the things that are going on in her life? We can only find out. Then I've got a, this is Just Eat It, How to Just Eat It. So this is written by Laura Thomas. She's previously written Just Eat It, which is a book, a non-fiction book about intuitive eating. And this is a sort of guide that will help you get on board with intuitive eating. And I just had such good, I do have Just Eat It here because it's got this, oh, I can't, it's really shoved in there. It's got a beautiful big donut on the front. And yeah, I got sent it from the publisher and was always sort of like put off with like, oh, I don't know if I need to read that because is it all about diets and stuff like that? And it's about diets, but not as you read them before, as a sort of like intuitive eating is about eating as and when you feel like eating. So yeah, and this is an activity book to help out with that. So that looks great, published by Bluebird Books. Now, the last one I've got is Catch the Rabbit by Lana Bastazic. This was won the European Prize for Literature in 2020 and has been translated from Serbo-Croatian, I think, which is definitely not a language that I have read a book translated by before, if that makes sense. And this is about Sarah, who hasn't heard from her best friend Layla in years, but she does, and she demands that she comes home to Bosnia. And it's written as like a road trip sort of novel, and then as it comes on, it becomes a sort of like a confrontation of her past. And what I thought sounded interesting was Lewis Carroll meets Eleanor Ferrante in a balkanised wonderland. So yeah, that will be interesting to read, and that is out on the 27th of May. So there we go. Wow, 25 books. Well done if you've made it all the way through. What am I going to start with next? Well, I know I've got to wait I'm going to be reading some of these in April because obviously I've got reading plans this month, unless some of these books, like I said, I think Lustre might be on the Women's Prize long list. I think Kololo Hill might be on the Women's Prize long list. Got me Little Women books that I've started getting ready for May, Little Wim May. Yeah, what will I read? Exciting. Let me know if you're excited about any of these books, and I would love to hear if you have read any of these books. Love to hear what you think about Little Wim May. And I'll see you all again soon for another book video. Goodbye!